What's up, YouTube? Kedris here. This is my video talking about the end of the transfer window, also the signing of Luca Netz from Borussia Mönchengladbach. I'm only going to say that once. That was a pain in the ass to look up. And just to kind of wrap up everything that's been going on and look at our squad now that we kind of know who's in and who's out moving forward. So, Luca Netz joins from Borussia Mönchengladbach and had 15 appearances, 0 goals, 2 assists. Looking at him just as a profile, seems to be a more attacking type of left back, but can be defensively sound. 6 foot from what I could see. His stats are okay. He plays in a more defensive side in the Bundesliga. So he was kind of in a 3-back system, but he played up more towards the midfield. And he has decent passing. I think he could attribute something to our team. I definitely think defensively he's better than Zinchenko. And 2.5 million euros, that's pretty good, man, for a backup to starting quality left back. I think that's decent. Could we see him play against Leeds on Friday with Nico Williams being suspended with a red card? I don't think so, but I'm going to get into that in my match preview video I'm going to do on Thursday. His shirt number is going to be 25 for us, even though it says 20 here. Luca has 20 for us already. 22 years old, says 5'11", but he's like 5'11 and a half, whatever. The contract's going to be 4.5 years. And honestly, he's a decent player. Like, I got no problems with this signing. And I don't have any really problems with the window overall. Now, moving on to talking about the team and the transfer window overall. I think it was a 7 out of 10. It was a decent window. Yeah, we didn't get any big name signings, but based on the summer spending, I didn't see that happening. I mean, our cap was probably like 30, 35 million. And we did put in a big bid at the end for Ingels from Celtic, who I'll talk about a little bit. I think he's a decent player. I think he's the long-term target for replacing Anderson, who I believe is going to go in the summer, which is why we wanted to get him in now. We wanted to get him in, bet him into the Premier League, kind of like let him get some minutes without the pressure of having to start. Unfortunately, that fell through, even though we put in a really good bid, and I think we went in for a 4th time, but it didn't pay off. But hey, man, can't win them all. And like I said, I think he's a future signing anyways. But looking at the team and how it's shaped out, there's some conclusions that I am forced to make. And we won't obviously have already received the squad registration for the rest of the Premier League season yet. It hasn't been made public. But I think we can kind of infer based on age and whatnot who the squad is going to be and what it's going to look like. The surprising thing for the window, for me at least, is that McAtee stayed. After his performance against Fenerbahce, he really starting to kind of come into his own, and I think he's going to become an essential piece to us, especially in the Europa League, as Sean Dyche prioritizes Premier League safety over it. Could be a piece that starts to see more minutes now that we've kind of moved everything around. Speaking of, so this is a little Excel spreadsheet I put together. I kind of got a little carried away with the shadows and stuff, so if it looks a little weird, sorry. But this is the squad and what it's looking like. This is the injuries as of right now. Obviously, this will be updated as the week goes by, and we get more clarification on the Sells injury, on the Hudson-Odoi injury, how his shoulder really is, and on the Savona injury, who seems to be having a problem with his knee. Looking at this, you can see here the players that are blue are under 21 and therefore don't count towards the squad registration, 25-man squad, because if you're under 21, that doesn't count towards that. You kind of like a free player. Looking at this, though, you can see that we have 4 strikers, 2 left wingers, 2 right wingers, 2 cams, 2 kind of 8s, 2 6s, 2 left backs, 2 right backs. We're kind of very spread out and even on all of our signings. And I think if you don't count Chris Wood and you don't count John Victor, that's how many players? So that's 24 players. And that's not including Chris Wood or John Victor, but that is including Bali. So we're actually very open when it comes to how much squad we got. And I don't think that's going to be a real issue with having to cut anybody. Like, I think Awani is going to be able to stay. Looking at our loaned out players, honestly, is kind of interesting because we got Cali Muendo out, Jota Silva still out, Carmo, Richards, Bendon, and Cubano, who successfully got a loan deal done with an option to buy to Vasco in Brazil. And this team is balanced. I mean, I think it's pretty good. Obviously, back was kind of an issue. We don't seem to be playing him, and Dominguez seems to be playing left wing, kind of. So you could say there's some balancing issues in that kind of regard if you play players out of position. But overall, I think it's a very balanced squad, and that's why I think the window is a 7 out of 10 moving forward. The last thing I want to talk about is Douglas Luiz, his departure from Forest, the termination of his loan, and then his reloaning to Aston Villa. There's a lot of controversy in the fan base regarding his output and how he could have been utilized better. But guys, we have to be realistic here. I'm not even talking about him being injury prone as he was. I'm talking about his use. Sean Dyche was not going to use Douglas Luiz. It wasn't going to happen. You can cry, you can bitch, you can moan and complain, but he wasn't being used. And if he's not being used, you might as well clear his wages off the book and send him back. Luckily, it wasn't us that terminated it, so that Juventus actually had to pay us a loan fee for breaking the contract. So that's my thoughts and feelings on everything. I just wanted to get off my chest and kind of do a nice summary of the transfer deadline and all the signings that were made in that kind of a hectic last day, but not really. And a kind of an overview of our team and what's going to look like moving forward. I think we're very well balanced in all the positions and we have a lot of depth. And at this point in time, it's up to Sean Dyche. You got to win with these players, and he's been doing a good job so far. I have no complaints, and I'd love to see him out until the end of the season. But in the summer, we got to make moves. We're going to be losing Anderson, possibly Murillo, possibly Morgan Gibbs-White. So this summer is going to also be very important to the longevity of Nottingham Forest in the Premier League. Anyways, that's all I had to say. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the transfer window. And hey, at the end of the day, what's important? Come on, you Reds.